Hi everybody, Tuesday with Tanya at Sogno. I am here in Pawtucket with Lee. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
And it was supposed to do a little countdown, it actually didn't. I'm like, this thing's it usually does like 3, 2, 1, and like this time it actually didn't. So I don't know. I hope it's not.
Anyway, we were ready.
I know. I mean, that was random. It's making me like, why? So yeah, great place. I like it, and they have hookah too. They have a great menu. I got it right over here. I'm going to be going over the options. But first, we just want to hear about the hours and what was the exact location again?
So we are here at 1438 Newport Avenue in Pawtucket, right off the highway, easy to get to.
Yeah, it was. Definitely was. Yeah, it was awesome. And I recognized the area too. I said okay. I'm like, no, it wasn't even too far up, so it was definitely convenient. Definitely right off the highway. And okay, cool. So, and then you open. What were the exact hours?
Yep. So we're open every day except on the Mondays. Mondays we're closed, and we're open 4 p.m. to closing. Tuesdays and Wednesdays we close at 11, and Thursdays to Saturdays we close at 1 a.m. and then Sundays at 11 again.
Okay.
1 p.m.
So the only day off really is Monday.
Mondays,
okay,
yeah.
Monday off. Okay.
And I should say Sundays we are open earlier because we do brunch, so we open at 12 instead of 4 p.m.
Okay. All right, that's right. Yep, I got the brunch menu, my favorite. So, all right, thanks. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We thank Lee for coming here. We're at Sogno. Got a nice view behind me over here. Nice place. I will be going into some other topics aside from here, but I do want to start with this. So yes, as we said, right on Newport Ave, right off the highway, basically. So got some good hours here, and if you smoke hookah, definitely an option for that as well. Then we're going over the menu, couple menus. So it's more like the picky type things, bar type menu. Hopefully my timer doesn't turn off like it did last week with Steve DiNuccio. Let's see, it's probably just getting old, like everything else around us. Everything's getting old, right? So yeah, more of the picky things like chicken Caesar salad, barbecue chicken sliders, burger sliders, empanadas, beef or chicken, also mozzarella sticks, that's my favorite. With a meat lover's platter, they have sauteed shrimp, they have, let's see, chicken wings and fries, chicken tenders with fries, burger with Gouda cheese, pulled pork sandwich, tacos with a choice of protein, which could be either shrimp, chicken, or steak, some side dishes, tostones, yuca fries, sweet potato fries, and regular fries. So picky, more like bar type food, but definitely tasty. And I love brunch. And the good thing is, I don't think I've ever heard of this. They have brunch, it's not like it cuts off at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. It cuts off at 6, right? Yeah, 6. I had it in my notes. So it's kind of different. Most places breakfast place closes pretty early. But their brunch goes on from 12 to 6, so if you want to sleep in, or if you want to have a late lunch, or if you want to make it your dinner at 5 o'clock, because I do eat dinner that early sometimes. People like eating breakfast for dinner, that's for sure. So brunch here on Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m. I'm going to go over that menu as well, which is waffles and chicken, let's see, steak and eggs, which includes also rice and beans with it, breakfast burger, tres galupe, which is mashed plantains, fried cheese, salami, and pickled onions. Also, they have bottomless mimosas. They have margaritas, mojito, different martini, and other margarita options. Definitely nice for brunch. Always looking for that new breakfast place, right? So yeah, definitely good with that. Definitely good to have that. Hi, hey Tom, thanks for tuning in. So yeah, basically right on the Mass line. It's not far from Market Basket. Brandon, Massachusetts, right on the line, right off the highway. Very convenient. They do have hookah here. They have some other event nights, which I'm going to get into also as well. Let's see. And then stay tuned, because like I said, I do have some other tidbits. I know some people watch us on a replay. Still say hi, even if you're watching on a replay. And of course, stay tuned in for the raffle. Let's see. Sorry, I got my notes here. So Thursday nights after 9 p.m. Every Thursday night after 9 is karaoke here at Sogno. The first Thursday of every month is a paint and sip. So stay tuned for that, and you can check them out on Instagram or Facebook. and look up some of the details. Comedy nights are usually at the end of the month. We have a comedy night here. On November 26th, there's a poetry event going on. That's on November 26th. Sounds so far away, but really it's not. It's not that far away. It's almost going to be November. We're already into October. Hey there, hey Charlotte. Hi, I know you. I'm glad you're in Italy. My God, hey Charlotte. Hope your trip's going well. I don't really scroll too much, so I haven't caught a lot of the photos. I caught very little because you know me, I don't scroll enough on Facebook to even catch things. But looks fun. I'm happy you're there. Glad everything's going well. And yeah, so there's a poetry thing going on the 26th of November. And so yeah, got karaoke options, comedy options. Come here and eat, have a drink, relax. That woman Lee gave us the information of the hours of the place. And of course you can look them up, Bel Sogno on Instagram. And it's at Bel Sogno Bar and Grill. Same thing on Facebook as well. So, okay. Sometimes you only want something small, you know. You want like kind of a snack, or like you could say, hey, if you had a big lunch, and then you say, oh, maybe I'll just go there for dinner. I'll just get a little something for dinner because I already ate a lot before. Or vice versa. You might just want kind of a snack in between or something. So it's nice. Or you could just make a meal of it and order more than one thing. I see people who do that too. And I think that's totally fine. Let's just pick all the appetizers and order like 5 of them, you know, and make it our meal, right? Because people do that too. So that can be very fun, and you get like the nice variety, you know. You don't have to just be at a Chinese restaurant and do it like I don't mean to talk about, I love Chinese. I'm just saying, you know, you have a poo-poo platter. Well, why not do that like American style and get like a, you know, a whole variety? Just saying. So yeah, I want to go into some things with the Columbus thing, with Christopher Columbus and the statue, and I know it's kind of a little controversial, and with this whole Columbus thing, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a history buff, I don't follow it, but I did ask a couple people, and I'm being told that some of the history to do with the whole Columbus and people being angry with him now, you know, many years later, is some of the history books are skewed, supposedly, to make it paint Columbus and, you know, make him look worse than he really was. I'm not saying he was perfect, because he probably wasn't, but, you know, who is? And I feel, you know, there's this great thing. It was given to us. I know it's backwards, but I had went to the unveiling of the Columbus statue in Johnston. I had went there that day, and we did have a heads up that there might be some protests. And of course, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, is this like safe? You know, you kind of gotta ask yourself that: is this a safe thing? Are there gonna be protests there? Like, you know, what's going on? And but no, I gotta say, it was nice. There were some things you can catch online of some of the protests and some screaming that was going on. I didn't hear it because we were part of the ceremony side with all the people that gathered on that side of things and with the speakers. And it was really beautiful, I have to say. It was nice. I did feel safe. There were, you know, some police officers there. Not, you know, a bunch, but I mean enough, you know, sprinkled around, and it wasn't bad. I mean, those arguments were kind of happening off to the side, and I think people have a right to protest. I'm not saying they shouldn't have been there, but you know, it made it interesting, and there was a mix of people there. There were, you know, people from all ethnic groups, and of course mostly Italian that happened to be there. But you know, I know there could be some controversy, and it does make you kind of think and wonder. But I have some points I want to make about that, even though I can connect to everyday life. Also, this was a nice document that a man named Dr. Patrick T. Conley, and he's a historian. He's here in Rhode Island, and he put this together. I don't want to read the whole thing because I don't want to bore you. I mean, I didn't find it boring, but I just want to pull some of the more important points or the more interesting points. And sorry, Peter, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm sorry, Patrick. I keep calling you the wrong name. Sorry, Patrick. I didn't get the name right. I don't mean to say it was boring, but you know, I mean, I'm just trying to keep it. If anybody wants to see the full version, just reach out to me, and I can somehow maybe take a picture of it or something like that. But it was interesting. You know, I just want to just read things that just stood out more, or gave a more of an outline, just not to read the whole thing. Basically, it says, so people, his belief is that historically that, you know, people are misinformed, and the Americans who have been tearing down statues of Christopher Columbus are, you know, they're not informed, is basically what he's saying. Let's see. He goes on to say, because I'm just going to skip around here. Slavery was permitted in 1462. Even Pope Pius II permitted enslavement of those captured in a just war, which the Pope then proceeded to define. The Christopher Columbus critics are clearly guilty of a major history fallacy called presentism, which would be, according to the dictionary's definition of what that is, uncritical adherence to present-day attitudes, especially the tendency to interpret the past events in terms of modern values and concepts. So I like that. And you can put this with anything in life, not just Columbus. You know, where adherence to present-day attitudes, especially the tendency to interpret the past events in terms of modern-day values and concepts. So just because back then it was okay, it would never be okay today. Some of the things that had went on with Columbus. But just in general in our world, I mean, there's things that were almost more okay back then that could never fly nowadays. People got away with much, much more years ago, and on different levels. You know, even in schools, even with, you know, I'm not saying you could get away with getting in a fight in school, but some people did, or they weren't caught because there weren't cameras, or they did it off school property, or they just, you know, there were ways to almost do that. I mean, even, how do you say, I don't want to get too like detailed or too technical, but I don't want to say fighting was allowed, but there was I'm just going to assume there was much, much more physical violence years ago. I'm talking even in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, even then compared to there is now, because you kind of, I don't want to say you always got away with it, but sometimes you did. Even something as dumb, I know it sounds weird, but even me, I going to nightclubs years ago. I was young, I was maybe, you know, 21, 22, whatever. Or at the times there was some 18 and up places too, so I could have been 18, 19 also, so I should say. And just, yeah, this happened maybe a couple times where a guy would basically grab my behind quick. And I'd turn around ready to like hit someone myself, speaking of fighting. I turn around ready to do that. There's like 3 guys standing there. I just go like this, you know. Okay, I know it's a little funny, even though it's serious, but it is funny. But meaning, I don't see any men doing that anymore, is my point. I don't see guys, unless there are men who do this in nightclubs, I don't know, and they still touch women. But I'm just saying, you got away with more, you got away with stuff, you know. So, is it okay? No. But just making an example, and that's what I think what we're doing with getting back to Columbus. We're doing that with this Columbus business. Things were different back then. Things were not right. It's not okay to have slaves. You know, I mean, I could think of someone, I really don't know this person, but I know this person through someone else, and basically I had been to this mansion in Watch Hill, right in Rhode Island, mansion, like, and the owner said to me, oh yeah, this area years and years ago, this is where the, you know, I don't want to say peasants, but the peasants or the slaves, this was their quarters, this was their area. You know, it actually wasn't a bad looking area, but compared to the rest of the house, which was so beautiful and big and grand and everything, you know, that was more of a kind of a smaller space. So what does that mean? We have to basically tear down the house because slaves used to be there? Like, this is the kind of mindset, is what I'm saying, this whole Columbus business is starting. Because no, we shouldn't be knocking down mansions in Watch Hill or in Newport just because there used to be slaves there. So this is just what I'm making an example of. Let's see, what else? Going back to my script here by Patrick Conley. This I found interesting. So speaking of like Columbus, and there's so much more named after him. For example, the nation's capital is the District of Columbia. So D.C., District of Columbia. The state capitals, now then we're going to move, that's the nation's capital. Go to the state capitals of South Carolina and Ohio are Columbia and Columbus, respectively. And there are about 20 municipalities and six counties in the United States bearing the name Columbia or Columbus. That's something I didn't know. I found that interesting. There is even an Ivy League university named Columbia. Moving along, the Columbia River, named in 1792 by the Rhode Island mariner Robert Gray for his ship, is the main interior waterway of the American Northwest with its source in the Canadian province of British Columbia. Hail Columbia is a song composed by Philip File for the inauguration of George Washington in 1789. Today, this same song is played for the entrance of the Vice President of the United States, and it's called Hail Columbia. It's the name of the song. Also notable are the Knights of Columbus. This was one I forgot about, and if they're all around us. Even here, different cities and towns, there are many Knights of Columbus buildings, and just in general, the Knights of Columbus, a huge Roman Catholic fraternal order. They need to be more vigorous in defending their patron and should not remain silent knights. And that's true, because some of them probably are. You even forget about it. Say, well, where's that next comedy show? Well, it's at the Knights of Columbus. So where's, you know, your next baptism that you're going to? there are different Knights of Columbus halls. The name Columbus is right in there, very, very much so a part of our world. In America, the names and presence of Columbus and Columbia are everywhere. There's even a federal holiday, as we know, second Monday of October, to celebrate Columbus's achievement and his Italian heritage, even though now it's called a different name. Columbus is an icon to Italian Americans. Let's see. Regardless of the protesters and people who think that they can erase Columbus, which they never can, regardless of how many statues they topple over. Columbus was a harsh, and so it's admitted here. Columbus is a harsh commander. He did not, but however, he did not commit, nor would he condone the centuries of inequity and injustice that followed his voyages. So he shouldn't be a scapegoat for the different tragedies that followed his death, which was in 1506, and he was only 54 years old. That might have been old back then, though, to live to 54 years old back in the 1500s. But so the things on tragedies that happened after him, he shouldn't be the scapegoat for that. And then this man again. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm at Sogno over in Pawtucket, right on Newport Avenue, right off the highway. I said about the menu items before, if you want to rewind to that. And so then the man who wrote this script, and again, the script was given to us the day of the unveiling of the Columbus statue. The man who wrote it, Dr. Patrick Connolly, ended by saying that he is happy that Mayor Joseph Policino Jr. and this statue's donor, which is the former Providence Mayor Joseph Paolino Jr., have bravely prevailed over the current tide of public opinion against Columbus and guided him to this honored, secure, and safe landing on Columbus Day 2023 in Johnston, Rhode Island, and has become his local San Salvador. So yes, we were happy because he is the one who, and then also the statue's donor, I mean, Joseph Paolino, former mayor of Providence, is the one who paid $50,000, 50, to have this statue not just be melted down or not just be, thrown into some basement somewhere, to have it on display. They give him a lot of credit. It was really nice of him to do. So like I said, why would we, and I have a few other little tidbits I'm going to share right now too, but just to end on the Columbus topic, and then I'll move into a couple other things. Like I said, there's so many houses all around us, whether they're in Providence, Cranston, doesn't matter where they are, Narragansett, that have had slaves or peasants working there. Do we have to just knock down those houses now? Just like we're knocking down Columbus statues? And then I used also in another interview, I had mentioned Michael Jackson. I like Michael Jackson. I like his music. I know he's controversial. Did he really do these things to small children? Did he not? I don't know. I would hope he didn't. I think there's a chance he could have. I do. I think it's like a 50-50. He either did it or he didn't do it. But I love the guy's music. I think he's a great entertainer. I think he dances very well. He sings well. He's just, it's like saying he's the Beatles. I mean, he's very, 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 very everything, very famous. But that's like one day, years and, I'm just making an example. What we're doing to Columbus is years and years later. So now let's say one day when we're all dead, years and years and years into the future, and we look back at Michael Jackson and say, oh God, we got to just, tear him down. We have to, kind of like we did to Columbus. Oh, we can't support his music. He molested kids and he did this. He did this and he did that, so we're not going to support his music anymore. That might actually happen one day. And then you just get people like Billboard and MTV and radio stations just canceling him and all sorts of crazy stuff, because that's just what our world does. It just cancel people and stop listening to people. That would be crazy if that happened. I would hope that wouldn't happen, but we won't even be around to see it, because this Columbus thing is happening now, way, way far into the future, which is current day compared to what it was then. So that could happen with Michael Jackson one day. That, we move into a greater way into the future, and they look back at Michael Jackson. I know I'm singling him out, or anybody like that, and really we can't even prove it. It's never been officially proven. Were these people after his money, or were they truly, done wrong? Were they truly mistreated in a big way? So we'll never know. Hey Eddie, thanks for tuning in. So I'm just making an example, and that could happen one day. Let's see. I also was going to mention, so the Park Theater. I want to try to do a live regarding the Park Theater and Ed Brady. I don't have it confirmed yet. I would like to do an interview first. I have two different people in mind to interview for this whole thing. So that is something in the upcoming future. If you know anybody who would support the Park Theater or has some positive things to say, of course, you know me, I'm willing to say the positive and negative during the interview. I could definitely talk about both. But in particular, I'd like to have someone on who is can shed some positive light on that whole situation, because I will be bringing up positive and negative, just being honest. Sorry if that upsets anybody, but that is a very down the middle situation. Who's okay with it, who's not okay with it, who's for Ed Brady, who's for Councilman Ferry. It's kind of going both ways. I'm willing to have people on those, so just putting that out there, and I do hope to get that done between now and like early November. As a part of that, I want to kind of blend with it, not necessarily through interview, unless if anybody's watching and wants an interview that's a comic, is the Comedy Hall of Fame. The Rhode Island Comedy Hall of Fame, which is currently housed in the Park Theater. They may need a new home, they may not. So I just had some ideas that went along with that too that I wanted to bring forward on a future live video. So definitely want to do that. Also, we're going to be doing our raffle very shortly. Be doing that. And this little tidbit too. I was at an event, actually working and waitressing, believe it or not. And there was a band there. I won't say what band it is, but I know some of you probably know this Rhode Island band. Great band, you know, top 40. It plays old music and new music, you know. And the bartender, who I didn't know, I guess went up to the band and said, "Oh, you know, I want to sing a song." And just, you know, I used to sing in the past. I want to sing. So they allowed her to sing, and she sang Tina Turner. When I tell you, I'm bringing this up for a reason. We were blown away. She did a better job than the actual singer in the group. I hate to say it, but she kind of did. I know it sounds mean, but I mean, she captivated the entire crowd. People were videoing her. She really sounded like Tina Turner. I mean, it was amazing. It was the Proud Mary song, like dancing. She didn't look like her, but she sounded and danced. And I mean, I was like, it made my whole weekend. I felt like I was at a concert. So I'm bringing this up because sometimes in life those things happen. They're positive things, and it makes your day. You'll be like, oh my God, that made my day, or that made my week, or that made my month, or whatever. It made my, you know, you say that made my night, you know. So that's just one example. I know the world is full of lots of those examples. And when the Powerball, I don't know what's at right now, because I don't follow the Powerball. I probably should though, because I think we all would like to win. I know it was into the billions. It was into the billions. Either way, it's still usually into the millions. So if someone wins the Powerball, I mean, what the heck does that feel with? I mean, I feel like I'm over here impressed by Tina Turner, or, you know, exactly what's it called, like an impersonator almost. I mean, how would that feel to win a Powerball? Like, how does that feel? And I think most of us have no clue as to how that would really feel. But it's an interesting thing if you really think about it. So I could say, yeah, Tina Turner, you know, she made my night. You know, the impersonator, she made my weekend, you know. What does it feel like to win the Powerball? You could say, wow, that made my life. That made my whole life. You just made my whole life, you know, Powerball ticket that you are. Like, that could make your whole life. It not just makes your night or makes your week. It probably would make your whole life. But I don't want to sound, I don't want to talk too much money, because I really don't believe that. I don't believe that money it really doesn't make you happy. I don't believe that, because I could think of some people that I know that have money and they're just not happy people. They're actually miserable. And that doesn't mean all of them. But, you know, you encounter these people, whether it's people you know through other people, or people you know in the community that maybe have a great big business, and you know the business does very well, and, you know, sometimes they're just average. Hey Michelle, hi, thanks for tuning in. You know, I don't want to say, you know, people are rich. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes people you think are rich and they're really not, because then you realize that their car is leased, or you realize that they really are in debt, even though they have a great big car and a great big house, still in debt. So I'm not saying money means you're happy. I don't believe that the two have to always be. They could be, but they could not be. But to win the Powerball, I mean, I just think it would just give someone, there has to be a piece of positivity that comes with it. I mean, come on. Even if you win $500, that's even a positive, you know, feeling, or like, what do you call it? Like a smaller energy, like a positive energy. Like, wow, I just won $500. Like, you have to get something, some kind of enjoyment out of that. And I'm not saying it's an absolute, you know, happy maker. It makes you happy right away. Any kind of money, because it doesn't. So I hope you get what I'm saying, that there's a piece of it that should bring happiness. So much so that you'd be settled for life. If you manage the money the right way and do the right things with it, you'd be probably a little more flexible. Like, things would be like, okay, because you'd have the money to back you. So you wouldn't have to go to work, or you wouldn't have to, whatever, continue paying a car payment, or continue paying a mortgage, or worry about what you spend, you know, at the market, or worry about, hey, I need to only go to the sale rack at the store because everything else is too expensive at regular price. The timer works today. All right. Someone, oh, thank you. Okay. You know, that does ring a bell. Someone in California won it. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Eddie. Yeah, imagine. You know what they could do too? Just not to be so much money and just to kind of spread the happiness. Instead of having into the millions or even billions, say, hey, there's like going to be 10 winners. Or somehow organize the lottery where that money's divvied up so more people can experience it. And, you know, because you could do a lot with, you could do a lot with even winning 200,000. You know, it doesn't even have to be into the millions. But anyway, I just wanted to say the proof of, you could say, hey, you know, that made my life to win the Powerball if someone is in those shoes. I think there's other things that can make your life too, like having kids. Or for some people that cannot make their life, but for some people it will. Same thing with marriage. That can either make or break you, or make things great, or maybe not make things great. Sometimes there's a certain person in your life that you work with, or are friends with, or were formerly friends with in the past, but maybe they moved out of state, or maybe you lost touch for whatever reason, and a certain person made your life, or made that year in your life, that much more entertaining. I mean, I can think back and think of former coworkers, just some former people, even in college, that I knew that were pretty entertaining people. And you can think of that, and just not watch it, think of it, and just reflect on that, like, wow, like that person really made 2018 the best year, or they really made, you know, 2014 the best year. I'm making up years. You know, I can think back to when I was, speaking of a real year, back when I was elementary school. I'd have to track what year that was. That was in the 90s, where I had an awesome 6th grade. Let me tell you, teacher, kids around me, everything. It was a lot of a variety, but a lot of good stuff going on. It was really interesting. So just saying, those things can make your life too, or make your year, and certain time periods in your life that you can say, wow, like those were the days back, you know, in high school, or back in college, or back working at XYZ company. Those were the great, you know. So I'm just saying, just things just to kind of like reflect on. It just, there's a lot in life. And there's also the negative too, which we should try not to focus on, but of things that were, thank you guys for the likes, that you can look back on and say, God, that was a bad year, you know, 2006 or 2000, whatever it was. I'm making up things here as I go along. But I'm just saying, it can like work both ways, you know, making sure I said everything over here. I got my Raffle. This was a card. So yes, this is connected to Mark Bochner for Bochner's Realistic Self-Defense and Kickboxing. We'll do our Raffle now. So I'm not allowed to call the person, hey Josh, thanks for tuning in, thank you. I'm not allowed to call the person and let them know they won, but if you want to drop their name, you can drop their name right here. Hope you have a wonderful show. Thanks, thank you for the support. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything and the support. So yeah, I can't let you know that you won. However, if somebody wants to go ahead, they can. You can drop a comment with this person's name. Thank you for what you do. Thanks, thank you. Thank you, I tried. I'm like, I tried, Josh. I tried. Mike won. Okay. So, Mike, you're the winner. I know it's sloppy, Mike. Mike, just give me a call or a text message. Mike Ahern, you're the winner of this. Oops, why does it do that? It comes a little blurry sometimes. Oh, right there. I don't know why it does that sometimes. It's a little bit blurry. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. Thank you. Speaking of the community, I'm going to be giving a speech to some students one of these weeks coming up here. It's for this event thing that's going on. Thank you. Thanks for writing it, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you for writing that. Yeah, they want me to do a speech on community service, and I said, okay. I think I know what to say. I thought of some ideas. I did a little research, try and make it interesting. I don't want to bore these students, that's for sure. I don't want to make it boring. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. Just wrapping up here. Next week, I will have an artist on, Jake Cambo. That's he's a I don't know how to say the word, croner. I hope I'm saying it right. He's a singer. He uses another word. I think it's crooner. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm ruining the I'm ruining the effect here. So Jake will be joining me next week. Moving right along into October 24th. So next Tuesday, October 24th, Jake Cambo, the lead singer himself, solo act, great kid. He'll be at Jake and Johnny's Lounge. So I believe it's Pizza Napolitano / Jake and Johnny's Lounge. There are 2 locations I know of. I'll be meeting with him on Federal Hill, that location in Providence. So again, Jake Cambo next week after 5 p.m. So tune in for that. All right, thanks guys. Like and share. Bye bye.